Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this episode of In Lay Terms. I'm your host, Payman Ascari, and today we have with us a member of the Libertarian Party of New Brunswick. I hope I didn't mess that up. How are you doing, Francois?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
How am I doing so far? Did I get anything wrong in the intro?
You're doing great.
All right, let's keep it going. Francois, could you tell the audience a little about yourself, please?
About myself. Okay, so grew up, I moved constantly growing up. So I got to see a lot of different situations, meet a lot of different people. My father was like a serial entrepreneur. So I've seen businesses, successful ones, unsuccessful ones, and my mother was more of a, they're separated. It was more of a, how would I say, beneficiaries of the state. Let's call it that, like EI and whatnot. So I've seen what those programs are like. I have a sister, a younger sister, and a tattoo artist, and she struggled with some mental health issues. I represented her in court, so I have some experience navigating these waters as well. And myself, I am a business owner. I also work as an employee. I worked pretty much all my life. I started working around 12 on a sugar shack, and then farm jobs, constructions, and now I'm doing programming and AI. So I've a little bit all over the place. I'm a curious person. I think my time here is limited, so I try to get squeeze whatever experiences I can out of it.
Francois, you told me before we started the interview, you're the president of the party, and you're going to be a candidate soon.
Yeah, so I have yet to gather all of my signature. Provincially, they say it's 25. From what I've gathered, it's best to get at least 3 times as much because sometimes elections in Brunswick can just dismiss the validity of some signatures. So once I'm done acquiring that sometime this week, I'll be submitting my name and I'll be a candidate in my riding. But yes, I'm currently the president of the party.
Francois, I wanted to jump right into libertarianism. I'm fascinated by it, and in almost all respects, I am one as well. But for the audience, can you tell us, like, what's your definition of libertarianism?
Okay, so my definition would be the. I like to use like an imagery. So instead of voting for people, we vote for ideas, and these ideas are essentially achieved by the collective participation, willing participation of individuals. So if a bunch of individuals wants to see a particular project happen in their community, it's not dictated by some external forces. They don't need to appeal to the elected group and have them agree to what they want. You can just collectively agree, let's build this, that, and then you can do it. So it's essentially, it decentralizes the power and brings it back to the community.
This is a question I've always had. Like, is it compatible to have taxation in a libertarian society?
If I would say, as long as the group of individuals decide that this is what works for them, and have contingencies and fail safes to be able to actually, because it was supposed to be temporary, right? But like there's no agreed upon specific clear cut clause of if this happens or after this amount of time, this is going to stop. If it doesn't stop, this is the agreed upon method of dismantlement. So I would say libertarians that want to have some kind of taxation. Well, I would say no, because it's more like donations, right? It's still more like willing participation. So no, taxation is basically an external force come in and take what you have because they know better, and we disagree with that. So yeah, it would still be more donation based. So no taxation.
All right, I like that. Let's let's try to paint a picture. I always imagine like 1776. It was this paradise. It was you have property states or farmer states. So imagine that we have this. Everybody owns a farm. You have your acreage, and like there's no taxation, and then they decide to build a road.
Right.
So under libertarianism, uh, would the government have the right to come to your farm and say you owe us $100 for this patch of road, or we're going to arrest you? Like, do they have that right?
No.
All right, that was an easy one. Yeah, I was expecting a no. Um, I'm assuming the farms. So let's say you have 4 farms and whatever, you have some shared roads. And then the farmers could enter into a contract and say, every year we're going to pay $100 for this road, the maintenance, and there's this penalty if you don't pay by March 1st or something.
Right.
That's still the individual contracts between willing participants. It's allowed under libertarianism, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ultimately, if there's a collective agreement, the whole point is there shouldn't be an external third party that's not even part of the deal that comes and have the power to disrupt that. Right? So if these 4 individuals or however many, they have this agreement, then it's kind of sacred, which is not something we have in Canada. Like you and I, we could enter a contract, and the court could look at this contract and deem it immoral or whatever they want, right? And now throw it out. This is not like they're not even part of that transaction, so they shouldn't have interference power. So if these 4 people want to operate in that way, then they can.
I guess what I'm trying to do is, like man comes out of the forest, you form a farm, and then you grow them bigger until you got these like massive, million population cities.
Yeah.
But now, if instead of the 4 farmers, let's say you have 1,000 farms, so now you have a town, and 999 of them, they agree to this contract. One person doesn't. They can't force that one person. Their options are either abandon it, have no roads, or we'll just pay for. It's voluntary, is what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
All right. I kind of extended the same thing to a strata. So when you have a building and you have a strata council, this isn't really libertarian at this point. This is more democratic, 51%. But it would be kind of the same thing. Like you have a hallway, and either nobody sweeps the hallways, or if you're lucky, all 100% of the building agrees. But basically, you can't force people to hire somebody to shampoo the carpets.
Yeah.
What's this? Go ahead.
No. That sounds about right.
So you mentioned something about a third party, like an outside party. What would the outside party be?
Oh well, the current judicial system.
Okay, so let's go back the farmer example, or this. Let's go back with that one.
Yeah.
You got 4 farms, and me, you, and 2 other people were supposed to pay $100 at March 1st. I don't pay. How do you deal with that under libertarianism?
Well, if I see value in you and what you produce and who you are in the community, then hopefully we all look at you and be like, "Hey, are you okay?" You know, because we all benefit from the roads, or we all benefit from our infrastructure being the best that they possibly can. So if someone loses track of that, well, maybe they have something else going on in their lives. So maybe we ought to check, like on our peers, like, hey, are you good? Like, what's happening? Why aren't you? Like, maybe there's a valid reason that you no longer want to contribute, and maybe maybe we would benefit hearing you out. But that would be my personal approach.
All right. I'm not trying to disagree with you or to corner you. I'm trying to actually understand how this works.
Mm-hmm.
What if we took a more extreme example, like a crime, like murder? You came over and you shot me dead.
Right.
How would criminal acts be handled if there's no judiciary?
Okay, and I'm going to answer to that, and I would just want to make sure that people understand that my understanding of libertarianism is really individuals doing what they think is best for them in a community. So my answer is my personal answer. Okay, I just want to make that clear that it's completely detached from the party, what they stand for, which is just my personal belief. Is this is what reputation is for? This is what makes reputation valuable, um, and being judged by a jury of your peers. So if there's a murder, maybe there's a valid reason, right? The same reasoning that we take people and we forcefully put them in prison. We basically remove them from our community because we don't want their behaviors in there, and they won't change their behavior. So we just remove them. So maybe there was an extreme case where someone just saw that it was necessary maybe to just end that person's lives, and perhaps there will be a collective agreement, or perhaps there will be a collective outrage. We don't know. That's the point. But I think that to know that this is how things are run, this is what creates value in the relationship you have with your neighbors, the relationship you have with the people around you, is because you want to make sure that people miss you, people want you in your community, because these things can happen. Someone can look at you and your behavior or the result of what you're producing, and and want to empower you or want to just eliminate you. These are things that happen, in nature at any kind of scales. So I don't think that's something that's going to go away. But that's my takeaway. Is just um, there is what's going to happen with the murder is just going to be like, well, who was that person in the community, and how will that specific community respond? It belongs to them.
So, if I was going to interpret what you said, basically the community becomes the judiciary. Is that accurate?
Yes. Well, because in my mind, what else is there? Like, we're all a bunch of people that decided to play certain roles for a certain amount of time. So, yeah.
Okay. No, that's perfectly valid. Um, I'm going to use a phrase. Tell me if you've heard this before. Anarcho-capitalism.
I have heard that, yes.
Uh, I'm not an expert. I heard about this stuff. I was at a libertarian conference. Um, are you able to define what that is, or roughly, or?
Um, I mean, I can tell you what it means for me, but my experience, and I'm not sure if it's yours, but my experience is when I do ask that same question to other people, I get a wide array of answers, which I think, well, yeah, I don't know. So that's my experience. So for me, anarcho-capitalism is basically keeping the basic principles of capitalism, but like it's basically no holds bar, like no rules. If people want to enter into a specific contract or fulfill a specific transaction, they can. So very almost like Wild West would be my own interpretation of anarcho-capitalism.
Perfect. And I'll skip to the end. The conference, they defined it. They said libertarianism. They gave four different flavors. And they said anarcho-capitalism is basically like the purest or least restrictive form.
Hmm.
And then they had something called minarchism, I think, which is you can do whatever you want, but the government still protects your borders.
Right.
And then they had American style constitutionalism, which is it's minarchism. They protect the borders, but they also deliver the mail and do a couple of other things.
Hmm.
And then they begrudgingly stuck a fourth one in there. They said classically liberal. They said this isn't really libertarian, but Milton Friedman thinks it is, so we'll put it in there.
Okay.
Uh, do you agree with the ordering there, or did I miss anything out? Did I put something in the wrong order?
Well, I would say I wouldn't be able to tell you because I personally don't care much about that stuff. I like to design systems that work, efficient system, beautiful systems, and the principles that I'm defending and I'm promoting, I see them working very well on small scale, and I'm just very interested to see what's going to happen when we scale things up. So that's what led me into this position and in the party to begin with. Is I'm looking at the way we do things and it doesn't make sense. I don't see a single Fortune 500 company operate the way that our country operate. Like when you look at the parliament, like no one solves problem like this. Not even families. It makes no sense. People, divide the room in two and yell at each other. Like it accomplishes nothing. It's slow. It's inefficient. It's not objective based. We can't leverage the being set up this way prevents us to leverage the strengths and possibly to benefit from the other like if someone disagrees with me, that means that there's a chance that they see something I don't, and that's what gives them value in my eyes. So I don't want to be in separate teams. I want us to be working together. um, that's my focus. My focus is let's be a big group of individuals who can agree on what's important, and let's work to achieve objectives, and then we can figure out who's going to do what amongst ourselves. And that's what I'm really passionate about. That's what I see working at a small scale, so that's why I'm in it. I know that there's so many hours of content, like podcasts and people writing articles about labeling different belief system. I personally don't care. I don't spend much time looking at that. My focus is how do we take what doesn't work now and make it work.
I want to pull on that thread. So you mentioned Fortune 400, and you say, what we're doing right now, it's not how you do it anywhere else. I think you're talking about, you got to take care of the kids?
Yeah, hold on. I'm just going to mute you.
No worries.
Come back.
Take your time. Okay, we're back. We had Mondo technical problems, and I have Alzheimer's. What were we talking about?
You were asking me, I mentioned Fortune 500, and then you were going to go down that path.
Right. So what I understood from that is you're saying that our parliament doesn't operate like any other aspect of our life. Is that correct?
I don't know enough about all aspects of life to make that statement, but I do know that when I look at very efficient problem-solving organizations, that's not how they operate.
Okay. So my question, to the best of your ability, I'm putting you on the spot, but like if you could change it, how would you change it? How do you think it should be run?
So at the at the municipal level, there's specific projects, or there's specific needs or infrastructure that needs to happen. Collectively, the people will just feel it, or will have the desire for it. So then they should be able to collectively voice this concern through some kind of method of communication. Now, with all the technology that we have, it's easier than ever to, let's say, like create a neighborhood poll and say, okay, well, what do we want in our neighborhood? It works with families too. So again, I'm taking systems that works well at small scale and scale them up. And okay, so what do we want to accomplish? What's the goal? What do we want to see here? And if enough people agree that this is what they want, now out of just like the people voicing their interest, then we'll see, okay, well, who can actually solve these problems? Who can help us accomplish this? And then you'll find people willing to just help for the sake of seeing this thing to be here. Some people will ask to get paid, but essentially, I want things to be goal-driven and objective-driven, and not so much who's going to be our representative, essentially.
Okay, that's fair. I want to change gears, and I have a question about banking, finance, monetary policy.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about this. Let's go with the current banking system that we have right now. It is a commercial fractional reserve fiat banking system.
Yeah.
So there's a lot in there, but like, what's your view as a libertarian on our current banking system?
The current banking system. Well, first off, again, when I was talking about third-party interference, the fact that, let's say I have an agreement with the bank, which is essentially just like, now it's very different, but now that everything is digital. But if we go back a little bit, let's say it's a physical place my contract with them is you're going to protect my assets. But if an external party can just come and make this void, I'm not a big fan of that. Yeah. Also, I don't know. I don't have a clear way to say it, because clearly we do need this system. The banking system is, I mean, it's not here. We have what we have now for a reason. A lot of what it does is working, and there's a few pieces in there that like yes, they can be compromised, but so can be anything. I don't know. I'm a bit all over the place. I don't have a clear cut solution for this. Um, I would need several iterations of trying different system and see what works, see what I guess people find the most um, a good balance of common sense, respectful, and also like efficient. Because ultimately, money is the representation of the value you add in the world, or at least in my opinion, that's what it should represent. People that are very rich usually deliver services or in goods to many people, not just a handful, and that's why the wealth um, is justified. But and the bank, the fact that we all agreed a um, on a trading system makes it so that I can do something over there and you can do something over here. Maybe you produce services or goods that I may not want, but we can still exchange because now we have like these kind of points or these units that we can trade with other people. So like this system is good, but there's definitely flaws to it. But I'm not the guy with the solution here.
That's okay. I'll ask the question, I guess, in an easier way. If you were going to create your own cryptocurrency, we'll call it Francoin,
Right.
Francois coin,
Yeah.
and as long as you're honest to me, you say, "Payman, this is Francoin. There are 1,000 Francoins right now. I can print them whenever I want. I can do whatever I want. I might even close it and steal all your money.
Right.
As long as I enter into it voluntarily, that fiat system, it's under libertarianism, that's acceptable, right?"
Yes.
Okay.
In my understanding of it, yeah, it is because like if someone has an idea, whether it's good or bad, if it dominates and a lot of people subscribe to it, regardless of the consequences, I mean, in my opinion, this ideology is not like a isn't necessarily there to like solve all the problems. Um, I'm flirting with the idea of libertarianism can work because I see it work at a small scale, and I think we must try it. I think we just try it and see the results, and then we can compare and make a like a science-based decision based on the results that we're getting. So yeah,
Okay. What about, I think the phrase they use to describe this is a sovereign state bank. So, what is your view on the government of Canada basically being in charge of the money supply and being able to give itself interest-free loans and just print money? Like, do you agree with that? Or
well, no, I think this is the this is ridiculous because it devalues the currency. That's literally like it can't have any other effect. When you create an abundance of something, you devalue it immediately. Um, if you're in the desert, you're very thirsty, the bottle of water in your eyes, you don't even need to take a monetary amount to it because the scarcity makes it valuable. But if I basically am Nestle and I'm pumping water and I'm full of water, there's water everywhere, then try to sell me a bottle, it's not going to work. I don't care. I'm surrounded by it. So of course, if we all have to go to work, and then the premise is that, oh well, we need the money, so we need we need your contribution basically to make things happen, and we also realize that they can just print more money if they want to. Well, then why are you taxing me? Right? So it devalues the system, it devalues the currency. It's just a flagrant disrespect to a system. So no, I don't think that's right.
okay, so we're making our way to my grand finale. We started with a commercial bank, sovereign state bank.
Yeah.
What about the other direction? If we said that the government can't print money and it can never go into debt outside of maybe war. So if you want to build a road or a dam, you have to raise all that money beforehand and then go build the project. Would you be on board with that? I'm the libertarian perspective.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it that way, but you know, I'm maybe it's maybe utopian. Maybe I've heard people say it's communism actually, but in my mind, if the community know that we need a dam, we're all going to benefit if we have a dam there. We shouldn't collectively. I think we have a cultural problem, which is we think that entertainment, which I usually call distraction. Distraction from what? Distraction from participating in our society. If something would be very valuable for us, we can actually go and spend a couple weekends all together and just make it. People do that with, you see that with video games. You know, you were talking about banking and all this stuff in crypto. People spend hours in games working for money that doesn't exist, building stuff that don't exist, participating in quests and actions that don't exist. Well, not don't exist, but you know, like morally, psychologically for them, it rings true. But my point is, we could replicate the same. Like obviously, this is a human behavior that we can leverage in the real world, but it's hard because we always have this threat of eviction, this threat of like I'm not sure why we do that to each other in our society, why we claim to accept that someone cannot have a home. It's very easy to see. We become animals when we're in a state of scarcity, right? So we can't. It's completely far-fetched to think that, oh well, this person will remain uh, a peaceful citizen if they don't know where they're gonna sleep, if they don't know if they're gonna be able to feed themselves. Like it's nonsensical. It doesn't work. The person's gonna be stressed. The person will be hyper reactive. And now we're going to wish to be protected from this. And now we're going to empower a police class. And all these problems arise from the fact that we just should reject homelessness. We should reject scarcity, especially sorry, I'm losing my English there for a moment. Um, like orchestrated, for lack of a better word, scarcity, engineered scarcity. Um, I think it's a cultural problem. I don't think this is a libertarian thing at all. I just think I'm not sure where we went wrong, but I think that would be a good thing to focus on in the future. Sorry, I went all over the place there, but I hope I answered your question.
No, you did. You answered it and then some. Another question I wanted to touch on, or this is my idea, this is a feeling I have. So it's one thing you and I enter into a contract, and that contract says, I don't know, for the rest of our lives, we have to pay for this road. We have the farm example.
Yeah.
To me, it's evil to transfer that onto my children. I'm talking about taxes, debt, and transferring national debt to children.
Yeah.
What are your views on that?
Well, agreed, because now you are basically binding or putting chains on or enslaving, if you want, someone that had nothing to do with that contract, that had nothing to do with that agreement, and now they're bound to it. I think it can make sense to the people entering and creating that contract in the moment, but I just think it's a lack of empathy, a lack of foresight. And no, I disagree with that, because now you're including more people in your deal. It's not just the person that's in front of you; it's more people, and they need to be respected.
Yeah, this it seems like slavery. Like you're just, you're born to slaves, so you're a slave. That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's you. It's almost like I'm entitled to your life force, essentially, right? And I'm entitled to have this effect in your life, and it's like, why? Like, like there has to be a better way than do it this way. Not like obviously this works to some extent because coercion and all these things, and people will want a means to an end that works for them, because we often have blinders on. An idea that I like to use often when it comes to what's good, what's evil, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. If I walk into the woods, I'm just surrounded by nature. Things just are. Nothing is good, nothing is bad. Things just are. But the moment I have a goal in mind, let's say now my leg, I need maybe like a walking stick. Now I start scanning the environment. Now there's good sticks and bad sticks. Some of them are going to be too short. Some are going to be soggy. Oh, this one has snails on it, but this one is good. So right there, just because I had a goal in mind, inanimate object even, some of them I will value, others I will devalue. And we do that to each other as well. So it's kind of tricky. I think the way forward would be to achieve a society where we're unafraid to actually communicate our needs. Right now, it's very scary to openly communicate our needs because judgment and expulsion and all these things, we don't really have a scientific or curious approach about each other as a community. I find this is a big one of the many roots of I think the problem is that we can't just be honest about what we collectively want and need.
All right. Thank you for that. Francois, I have one final question
Yeah.
for you. What is your view? I'm asking for your view, the libertarian view. I'm kind of confounding those two, but what is your view on immigration? Like, should the government be ever have a right to set immigration quotas? What do you believe?
Um, I think I think the focus should be what the scientifically observable result of immigration, and do we desire those results or do we not? And then make the decision based off that. Because when you say the government, I hear the bunch of people that decided to play those roles. There's still people like you and I, like even though the sheriff, the prime minister, the nurse, we're all people that applied on jobs and we got it. High five, and good for you. And we all want to play our roles collectively. But when you bring a lot of people from outside with a different perspective, with different ambitions, with different goals and aspirations, then it will have an effect on the collective that currently is. Now, is it something that you desire or not? This kind of effect, well, you get to choose, right? We get to observe what happened in places that are super wide open to immigration and places that are completely closed to it, and kind of see, okay, well, what do we want in our collective, and then the individuals can vote whether they want it or not.
I guess now it's not even about you or me. I'm trying to get a sense of how libertarianism works in the real world. So
Right.
forget the word libertarianism. Let's just focus on property rights.
Right. Okay.
I own 10,000 farms. What kind of a world do we want to live in? Like, do we want to live in a world where I can bring in anyone I want? There's no such thing as citizenship. I'm asking if there's a concept of citizenship. I'm asking if there's a concept of culture, or it's fully the sovereignty of the individual grounds up. Which view do you ascribe to?
Right. I'm really just result oriented. Like the people that are currently surrounding your farm, the people that already live there, the people that are technically already part of your culture. What makes you want to get people from, like we need to fly them in? Like what is happening here? But ultimately, if you, the owner, you decide that this is what works for you, then you can do it. But I think it's worth kind of like be curious about that, have a curiosity about it, and really ponder and wonder how can we get to the point where someone can live right next to the place of work, and it's still a better deal, or it's still a better idea to fly someone from the outside. For me, that there's something very interesting there. So again, just my approach will always be a result-based approach. What do we want to accomplish? Are we doing things that make sense for us to accomplish this thing?
All right, Francois. we're at the end of the episode. Do you want to maybe let the audience know where they can follow you, where they can learn more about you and your party?
Yes, so please head over to lpnb.ca. So that's the official party. The platform is there, all the forms, all the information, and we also have a little chat bot that has some libertarian principles that we cook there. So if you were curious about, oh, well, what is the party's perspective or the libertarian perspective on this issue, or how would you see this issue, you can actually have kind of like a conversation with it, which is fun. Yeah, so lpnb.ca is where it's happening.
Okay, perfect, Francois. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm actually very excited to have you on. I don't get too many libertarians. They screen my emails, so thank you for coming on, and hopefully we'll get you back at some point.
Thank you.
Take care.